Hello. Welcome to Mary Drew in Wonderland. I'm Mary Drew. My friend Yo couldn't join us today, but she'll be back next week with me. You're listening to On the Go Radio. And we've been reading a story called My Father's Dragon. And I know we've had some challenges for you to work on, kind of like homework, fun work, which is to pick out a lesson that you're learning from the stories. So I hope that everybody had a chance to go to the library and get this book. It's called My Father's Dragon by Ruth Stiles Gannett. And some of the lessons that we've already talked about were that there are many things that scare us or that seem challenging, but there's always a way to overcome your obstacles. It's a great lesson. And also be kind to all, not for any reward, but because it's the right thing to do. And you don't know what kind of struggles people are facing, so it's always just good to, be the best person you can be and help out people in need and not expect anything in return. So I'm very anxious to hear what you guys came up with as lessons. So what I'm going to do, since we have 2 chapters left, I'm going to read 1 chapter today, and then next week we're going to have a winner and give away some prizes. I'm super excited about that. And the last chapter is going to be my father discovering the dragon. So we're going to see how he does it. It's going to be really exciting. So right now we're on chapter 9 of My Father's Dragon by Ruth Stiles Gannett. And this chapter is My Father Makes a Bridge. My father walked back and forth along the bank, trying to think of some way to cross the river. He found a high flagpole with a rope going over to the other side. The rope went through a loop at the top of the pole and then down to the pole around the large crank. A sign on the crank said, "To summon dragon, yank the crank, repeat disorderly conduct to gorilla." From what the cat had told my father, he knew that the other end of the rope was tied around the dragon's neck, and he felt sorrier than ever for the poor dragon. If he were on this side, the gorilla would twist his wings until it hurt so much that he'd have to fly to the other side. If he were on the other side, the gorilla would crank the rope until the dragon would either choke to death or fly back to this side. What a life for a baby dragon. My father knew that if he called to the dragon to come across the river, the gorilla would surely hear him, so he thought about climbing the pole and going across the rope. The pole was very high, and even if he could get to the top without being seen, he'd have to go all the way across hand over hand. The river was very muddy, and all sorts of unfriendly things might live in it, but my father could think of no other way to get across. He was about to start up the pole when, despite all the noises the monkeys were making, he heard a loud splash behind him. He looked all around in the water, but it was dusk now, and he couldn't see anything.
"It's me, Crocodile," said a voice that left. "The water's lovely, and I have such a craving for something sweet. Won't you come in for a swim?"
A pale moon came out from behind the clouds, and my father could see where the voice was coming from. The crocodile's head was just peering out of the water. "Oh, no thank you," said my father. "I never swim after sundown, but I do have something sweet to offer you. Perhaps you'd like a lollipop, and perhaps you have friends who would like lollipops too."
"Lollipops," said the crocodile. "Why, that's a treat. How about it, boys?"
A whole chorus of voices shouted, "Hurrah, lollipops!" And my father counted as many as 17 crocodiles with their heads just peeping out of the water. "That's fine," said my father as he got out the 24 pink lollipops and the rubber bands. I'll stick one here in the bank. Lollipops last longer if you keep them out of the water. Now one of you can have this one." The crocodile who had first spoken swam up and tasted it.
"Delicious, mighty delicious," he said.
"Now, if you don't mind," said my father, I'll just walk along your back and fasten another lollipop to the tip of your tail with this rubber band. You don't mind, do you?"
"Oh, no, not in the least,"
said the crocodile. "Can you get your tail out of the water just a bit?" asked my father.
"Yes, of course,"
said the crocodile, and he lifted his tail. Then my father ran along his back and fastened the lollipop with the rubber band. "Who's next?" said my father, and a second crocodile swam up and began sucking on the lollipop. "Now, you gentlemen can have a lot of time if you just line up across the river," said my father, "and I'll be along to give you each a lollipop." So the crocodiles lined up right across the river with their tails in the air, waiting for my father to fasten on the rest of the lollipops. The tail of the 17th crocodile just reached the other end of the bank. So that's the end of chapter 9. I'm really excited because the next chapter, my father finds the dragon, and we're going to see how he does it. So remember, you can get this book at the library or probably Amazon. Talk to your parents. Maybe they can help you get on the internet. You can find it probably on Amazon or something and download it. So homework, fun work is to create a lesson that you've been learning, follow along with me, and next week we'll have some fun, exciting prizes to give away. Thanks for joining me. I'm Mary Drew in Wonderland. Have a great day.